Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 68 of A Year of Change. I still don't know what to do on Thursdays. I haven't figured anything out yet. I sort of have that I might split up Monday because Mondays I have stuff that is like weight loss topics and new studies and news and stuff like that, and it's a little cramped, so I'm thinking that maybe Thursdays, just basically because of what I'm doing today, then we'll do stuff that, like, recent news, developy, foodie things. So I thought about doing, like, a little do thing up for news on the screen, but it's too early, I'm too tired, and it's going to look really cheesy, so instead we'll just pretend that it's up there, so it's all, like, in this nice little area. So there we go. There's your news. Basically, the reason why I decided on this today is because a few days ago, this actually happened a few days ago, so I was going to bring it up then, but I didn't. France has passed a new law. It's not going into effect until July 2016, though, that it's regarding food waste. And apparently it's a fairly big problem that it's something like 10 or 15% of all food in general, and upwards of 50% of food that is in a supermarket gets thrown out. It never gets sold. So, not necessarily that it's rotten or anything, it's just that it becomes like less aesthetically pleasing to us. It's perfectly good food, they just throw it out. So France has passed a law now saying that they can't just throw it out anymore. If it's viable food, if it's edible, they need to donate it to charity. And if it's less than edible, they can donate it to make animal feed or something. So this was passed 5 or 6 days ago, so probably like last week at some point. And it went through unanimously in the French National Assembly or Parliament or whatever they have. I should have done more research on that because I don't know. I think it's a National Assembly. Anyway, it went through completely, but apparently, like they showed a bunch of different numbers on it, that it's something like worldwide we throw out something like $300 billion worth of food a year. So I mean, that is quite a bit. And on top of that, there are still people that are hungry. Not even like this isn't something that is going to be shipped off to starving countries or anything like that. These are people right in France that are still going hungry, and on top of all that, they've had people that, and these aren't homeless people that are going through the trash. These aren't people that are just down on their luck or anything. These are people that are still working, that still don't have enough money to get through to get food. And this is sort of one of those things. Like, I look at someone that looks like me, and I think I'm probably throwing out food as well, and I'm still eating to capacity and then throwing out a bunch of shit. But now, of course, people are talking that, other countries are going to sort of follow suit. But there are a number of things that France added to this so that just to sort of protect everything. Like, number one, they have to donate them to charities. So the supermarket said that's fine, but the charities need to start getting trucks and fridges and everything together so that they'll be able to accommodate all the food. And one of the things that struck me was they also said that the supermarkets have to donate it in a way that doesn't put any additional pressure on the charities, which means they can't just say, okay, well, here's all of our garbage, go through it and try to find the food. It needs to basically be presentable so that they're shipping out just food to the charities, or else the charities are coming to pick it up, however it is. They can't purposely spoil it, because apparently what they've been doing is when they throw the food out, they then pour bleach over everything to prevent people from going in and getting it. And these are again, this isn't just, like rotten produce and stuff like that. They'll throw out produce and things regularly, but like little tins of food, that, not cans obviously because they last forever, but things like yogurt or cheese plates and stuff like that. They'll open them up, they'll dump everything out, and then they pour bleach over it just to prevent people from going in and get it. Which is kind of beyond me. I guess it's one of those things, they just don't want people foraging for it. But apparently it is a huge problem. And not just France, obviously. We're the same way. North America, I'm going to see if I can remember these. There's, I think it's $116 billion of the $300 billion per year. There's like 116 that's thrown out by the U.S. I don't know how much is in Canada, so for the sake of argument, we're going to say that we throw out the same amount. And they figured it out. They did the math and everything, and it's roughly 20 pounds of food per person per month that we're throwing out. And this is edible food. This isn't stuff that, all right, well, this one's spoiled, so I'm going to throw it away. This is actually viable food. They went into a whole thing about how it's filling up landfills, and it's the third largest contributor to greenhouse gas as well. So it's fucking up the environment too. Just from, I guess, all the methane that's getting released from it and everything else. So anyway, there are a bunch of different things that they put into place to say, okay, you need to donate this because we have people that are still going hungry and everything like that. And I think it's actually a good idea. We have the same problem in North America. We still have families that are going hungry that, if we're throwing out half the food from supermarkets, and it was a huge number, like something like between 40 and 50% of all food that you see in a supermarket. Like if you go there today and cut the store in half, that half of the food is going to be thrown away. It's never going to be sold. It's still good food that someone can eat. And it's just that we look at it and we go, there's a small bruise on that apple. I'm not going to buy that one. So they throw that away. And it's not that, the entire apple is rotten. It's if it's not aesthetically perfect, we don't buy it. But yeah, it's something like 40 or 50% of all food. And in the large scheme of things, it comes out to around somewhere between 10 and 15% of all food, period, is thrown out by stores. Stores. That's not even a word. It's thrown out by fjords. Anyway, however, the vast majority of food is thrown out by us. We throw out a tremendous amount. And with us, I think they said it was somewhere in the vicinity of, I don't know if my math is going to be correct in this, something like 80% of all wasted food comes from after we've purchased it and we throw it out. So that's one of those things that it's just because of larger portions and because we're all so fat. And we just look at it and go, there's a bruise on it, and throw it away, stuff like that. So it is an interesting law. It's not going to come into effect, like I said, until next summer, depending on when you're watching this, July of 2016. But I won't be surprised if other countries start following suit in that, because I think it's a good law to have. They've put things in place to protect the supermarkets so that, they can't get accused of food poisoning or anything like that. It's, the viable food, they're going to ship that out, or they're going to have charities come pick it up. It needs to just be presentable, so it's going to save on their garbage that they're throwing away. Charities are going to have the food that they can go to, or if, animal feed, whatever they're going to be using it for. One of the things that sort of struck me, though, and with the reason why they're sort of trying to curb this, and there are some people that are saying it's more of a PR gesture than anything else, because in the grand scheme of things, it is a very small percentage. It's like 10 or 15% of the food. But that's still a significant chunk. So to all the detractors and things like that, I'm sure that people are going to go, oh my God, that's a great idea. But yeah, it is a small amount, but that's still 10 to 15% of $100 billion. I think France was actually less. I think France was something like 80 billion or something. Or maybe that was 80 billion pounds of food. I don't know how much it was. But if they don't do this, they can get fined. They can spend time in jail. Like, there's a whole slew of different stuff. So go up and take a look at it, because I think it's actually a good law to have. And it's something that I'm hoping other people are going to adopt as well. Anyway, but as I was saying, getting back to, it's sort of it's not really a drop in the bucket. It's still 10 to 15% of all food. But they started sort of going through a bunch of different numbers. And the amount of food that's getting thrown out, like when we look at 50% of all food that's produced in the world gets thrown out. And just sits and rots eventually. And they said even in the United States and in Europe, I know I'm sort of picking on the U.S. here. We're going to say worldwide, just because I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but we're going to share it all equally. Because now everything's shipping back and forth, and so we're going to say worldwide. Food production takes up 80% of our fresh water. So there's 40% of our fresh water is getting wasted, basically. It's a huge chunk of land as well. I can't remember how much. Something like 40 or 50% of all land So there's, when you look at 10 or 15% of that, then it does sort of add up. Plus, we don't need to be this fat. We can, not throw out as much food, not buy as much, and not be wasteful and stuff like that. And it's not anything that I've consciously thought of. Generally, I don't often throw out. Actually, that's one thing I'm thinking of now. We're fat. We probably don't throw out a whole hell of a lot of food. But again, this doesn't count like pizza crusts and stuff. I don't think, anyway. Maybe it does. Eat your crusts. Anyway, it got passed about a week ago. At this stage, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops and if other countries sort of go in with it. The UK has something similar that it's sort of they have agreements with different charities, like different stores and stuff like that. But the thing with France is that it's now become mandatory, and by a year from now, it's going to follow suit with fines and jail time for people who don't follow along with it, stuff like that. And it's kind of sad when you think that we have to force people to say, okay, number one, don't throw out good food when you can donate it to charity, and number two, if you are going to throw it out, don't spoil it on purpose just so that the people who do need it can't get to it. So hopefully this is going to sort of fix 2 or 3 different things at once. As far as the wasting goes, I don't know. Obviously, people smarter than I am are going to try to figure that one out. But the hope is that this sort of thing is going to go and alleviate some of that pressure that charities are having trying to feed people. And again, it's not going to be one of those, well, this is spoiled milk, so it's past the expiration date. So I have something in my eye once again. It's past its expiration date, so then we'll ship that and they can chew the milk there. No, this is still food that is edible. It is not, it's not even like iffy kind of foods. It's just the ones that they would normally throw out because, again, they're saying, well, no, this has a dent in it, or this has, a marking on the package. People aren't going to buy it. It's still very good, viable food that they just purposely spoil to prevent people from going into their dumpsters and getting stuff. And there was one story, actually, where there was an employee of the store, to give you an idea how bad this is, and I can't remember what country this was in. I think it was somewhere in the UK. He was an employee at the store. And instead of throwing out the food, he had sort of set it aside and took it home, and another coworker caught him. He lost his job. So the fact that they're throwing out the food anyway, and one of their own employees isn't allowed to take it out of the garbage and, without losing his job, which I'm sure made things 10 times better for him because he's already to a stage where he's got to go through garbage to get produce. And it was lettuce and watermelon, I think. I don't remember. I think it was watermelon and it was something small, like 3 watermelon and 2 heads of lettuce. And he ended up losing his job over it. So, and I know that there are other places that, restaurants probably do the same thing. Like this was mainly focusing on supermarkets. So there's probably, restaurants and raw food wholesalers and things like that probably do the same thing, that just throw out their food. But, you're not allowed to go and eat it if they're throwing it out. I do know that there's a donut chain here in Canada that, because I've had friends that work there, that at the end of the day, they throw out everything. So they would have garbage bags filled with like donuts and muffins and biscuits and everything else. And they would throw them out that way. And when you're throwing that much food out every single day, then stop fucking making it. But I don't know if they did. I do know that it was one of those things that they weren't allowed to let people know that they were doing that. This person doesn't work there anymore, so it doesn't matter. And I'm not going to say the chain because probably all of them do it. So pick any donut chain and they probably all do the exact same thing. Just at the end of the day, they pack in all the food that didn't sell and they throw it away. So, and I'm sure that there are people that go and they get that and that sort of, although, you know what, a lot of the time they lock up their garbage bins. And I can sort of see where, from their perspective, they're thinking, well, we don't want someone going through it just in case they sort of rummage through and have garbage everywhere. But there's got to be a better way of doing it than just sort of throwing out everything. So I think that this law in France is going to be helpful in the long run. Again, it's not going to be something that's going to stop all the bad things that are happening. But even if it's cutting back 10 to 15% of the amount of food that we're throwing away, and more importantly, getting to people that could actually use it, then I think, it's good. Pass the law. And if it is successful, then we're probably going to see it in other countries around the world as well. It's a shame, though, that, we aren't sort of adopting that same sort of thing, that when we hear about these things that are getting passed and getting prepared, that other countries don't just sort of follow suit and think, that's a really good idea. We should probably look into that ourselves. So hopefully with this mandatory thing, I really hope it's super, super successful, so that it's one of those things that just, it's stupid not to do it in other countries, and then maybe it'll start following suit that way. But anyway, I don't know if this is going to be something that I'm going to do every week for Thursdays. I think newsworthy things like that are good. And if I sort of cram everything into a Monday that way, then I might run risking. I really have a hard time talking a lot of the time. So, but at least I catch it most of the time. I've probably said some stuff and didn't catch it, and someone will let me know in the comments. Anyway, if I don't know why my hand's up here. I'm trying to make a point of something. Because days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Anyway, back to that. So, Mondays we'll probably still keep doing our regular weight loss topics and stuff. So maybe Thursdays will be like a news day thing. I don't know yet, because I don't really want to talk. Like I said yesterday, if I have something that I want to talk about, then I'm going to bring it up right away, and we'll do it then. I don't want to sort of set aside a day and say, okay, well, this is what I've done. This is, here's my progress throughout the week. So, I don't know. It's a little, I've completely derailed myself from what we were doing before. I will know I will let you know. See again. I will know. I will note. That's what I meant to say. Because I haven't mentioned it in 4 seconds, I'm still parking on the hill, so don't worry. I'm still doing that every day. It's just sort of part of a routine now. It's still very tempting every once in a while, especially when I'm feeling lazy and don't want to go anywhere, for me to park right at the door, but I'm still going up. I did get a drive down the hill the other day, which I don't know if that counts as being lazy. But yeah, the walk down is fine. It's just I ran into someone that I knew, and they were driving, and they were sort of parked in the middle of the road, so we went down. Anyway. I'll do an extra thing on my treadmill this weekend, so we should be fine. Anyway, that is it for this one. I'm going to, again, I do this every single time. Maybe that should be my new outro. Is just, on top of everything else, say, well, that's it for this video, before I start rambling and repeating myself, because I always do that. But that is it for this video, so thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me, and in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.